I see you have escaped, Fizzle. Good job. You'll find that Shadow was not all it was cracked up to be, and we're so glad you're joining us here in the actuality again. Today is our 11th episode of A Woman with Hollow Eyes, so thank you to all our Kickstarter backers and people who have contributed over the time periods. We're finally getting to the big finale, which should be next week, so we're really excited. So this episode is extra special, though. So I will be, as usual, your GM, Darcy Ross, but I have two beautiful people here today with me telling us our stories. So why don't we cut straight to the new awesome face here, who Chad is already all aflutter about. Tanya DePass, want to introduce yourself to Chad?
Hi, everybody. My name's Tanya, so most of you know me as Cypher of Tier online and the internet and Twitch. But I'm also the director of I Need Diverse Games, which is a nonprofit based here in Chicago about getting more people in the industry and staying in the industry. So hi.
Excellent. We are so excited to have you here. Yay. So we're not going to announce who Tanya is playing yet. We're going to keep that a secret and a mystery. And of course we have James D'Amato, your usual host. Who are you today, James?
Yeah, normally you can find me on One Shot as the host of the One Shot podcast. But today, at this table, I am playing Calvin Weaver, what appears to be some sort of tragic hero now. As we learned last episode, Calvin emerged from Shadow not knowing who he is or what he's capable of, and slowly over the course of this game he's discovered more and more about his past, and some things that he discovered last episode have led him to believe that there might be a grim tragedy in his future, but also a very important thing that he has to do. Exactly what that grim tragedy might be and what that important thing might be are completely a mystery to him. So we might find out something about that tonight.
Exactly. Super lovely. And without further ado, we hinted that those of you who are on the fence about buying the Black Cube or pre-ordering it right now, we hinted that you might want to hold off until this week, and now we can reveal why. Mm-hmm. So Monte Cook Games is giving a coupon for everybody who's involved in watching this stream. I'm super excited. It is going to be Hollow Eye 9, the number 9, which will get you $9 off any purchase of the pre-order of the Black Cube for the 9 suns we have going on here. You can apply that toward, if you already pre-ordered the Black Cube or kickstarted it, you can also apply that toward the directed campaign, which is super cool.
Yeah.
So like we've shown before, this game, Invisible Sun, is really tied to the characters and their goals and their character arcs. And so having a campaign in a book proper is just, it's a little awkward with Invisible Sun because it's hard to after the fact tie your characters in.
Yeah.
So instead, the directed campaign is Monty's attempt at a GM in a box, also with props and also lots of secrets and weirdness. So it's going to be a like branching path of adventure hooks and situations and events that you report. You know, you get like a packet of information and materials, and then you report back like different decisions your players might have made, and that will influence what different packets and events happen later on. And there's going to be kind of a web portal where people can like talk about what the GMs can talk, which is super cool because I feel like that gives me the collaborative, let's come together and share ideas.
The coolest thing about this is like, this is the coolest version of directed play that I've heard. Like, thinking back to like the old school things where Dungeons and Dragons was like laid out across the country and everybody represented a small part of a shared fictional world. This is like a looser version of that, which I think is amazing because it means that the GMs involved in that have a lot of creative agency, and you know, you're collaborating with Monte Cook, noted games sorcerer, and I think that's super cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. And the other thing is, like, some of the props that we're building for this will get mailed either to you, the GM, or to your players if you designate that. So they can get like in-world mail to their characters at their doorstep, which I find fascinating.
That's
so
dope.
That was my...
That's some Harry Potter shit right there.
I'm really excited. So, but the coupon for whatever you or a friend might want to use for this would be Hollow Eye 9. So, yay! I hope that helps in some small way. I hope that you're as excited about this game and the real, honest to God, Black Cube that we are very excited to get very soon, very very soon.
Oh
so,
man, I can't wait.
I know. I'm very excited. So, but we are here to play a game. A number of you, yeah.
Your mic keeps hitting your necklace. You just need to move that over a little bit or take the necklace off.
Be gone, beast.
We were just informed by Joe that Darcy's necklace is attacking the microphone.
Has come alive and attacked my situation.
And then, Tanya, your hair is rubbing against your nose.
Oh, sorry.
Now we're
Cool.
Medusa hair, Medusa necklace.
Yeah, man, I gotta say, these lavalier microphones, they're very sensitive. They get attacked by everything.
So I think we had at least 1 or 2 subs. Did you catch that, Joe?
there was bits.
There was at least 1 sub right at the beginning, and I think there are 5 bits that 5 venture that we are dealing with. So I'm going to give 3 to Calvin.
I'm gonna take some risks today.
Yeah, but I also
There was one sub, yeah.
cool 1 sub, so 1 extra sortilege for you. So these usually add +1 to your. They add 1 venture to your roll, so they add 1 to your roll functionally on a D10. But for your character, I would say maybe use that for like a narrative. I'm going to add something to this scene, maybe, right? I think get like this is your Tanya is stealing narrative control from Darcy button.
That could be
like it.
dangerous.
I'm excited. We could go pretty wild here. And another sub, from Solemn Lyrian. Lovely.
Then I will add that. I'm gonna cast some
And
wild stuff today.
let me tell you, Tanya's character does not need any sortilege because you are who you are. So, yay.
Wow. Oh man, now I'm nervous.
You should be.
Oh, James, if only you know what's coming.
All right. So last week we left off at a pretty big cliffhanger-y moment. So I believe Calvin had been walking through this deja vu, these series of streets and abandoned buildings where instead of people living in these rooms in these apartment buildings, there are memories replaying of various people's memories.
Yeah.
And so you were traveling there with Agamemnon Butler, who was leafing through your memory web.
Yep. And pointing out that like most of them are fake.
Yep, a lot of them were very fabricated, and he was starting to find something when he found himself at the end of his life cycle and expired right when things were getting interesting. So that happened just as Calvin came upon Kitty, who he had been looking for, and he'd been following the silver umbilical that connects them together in some mysterious way. And so he found Kitty sort of cross-legged sitting in front of a big bay window that was displaying that tall, long-fingered obsidian demon with the rough-cut emerald eyes, playing a memory of young Kitty's encounter with that demon. So that's where we stopped.
Yeah.
Have a despair, my friend,
What?
because you can use whatever tokens you need.
Just give me one of these little coin tokens. I can put it in the despair slot.
Perfect. Because Kitty is standing there, like, in just wrapped and looking not very healthy either. Just sort of beat and kind of tired. And it's hard to say how her crystalline nature depicts malnourishment even. But however that looks, you've seen it before.
Yeah.
She's pushed herself far.
Oh my God. Calvin gets down on a knee. Kitty. Is she reacting at all?
She is slipping back into shadow.
No. Calvin lights up his hand green and he tries to touch her to heal her because that's all he knows what to do.
Yeah. So you can spend some sorcery and heal her, and it works. You see her getting the color and the vibrance that emanates from her
Don't think it
crystalline
cost me
body.
sorcery to do this one.
Oh, maybe not.
It's my whatchamacallit, the Path of Suns.
I think it has a level, and it costs its level in sorcery.
Oh, cool. Well, then I will use that.
A little bit.
It is level 3.
She looks healthier immediately, but it does not stop the pull back into shadow as she drifts back into dream and the lie of shadow.
Oh my God! What do I do? Calvin says, talking to the journal that's like standing right next to him.
The journal puts its hands on its journal hips as it sort of has little spindly paper arms. I don't know. I've never been to Shadow.
I mean, I could maybe open a portal there.
I know that's a bad idea. Even I know that.
Well, I can't just let her go back to Shadow. I mean, goodness knows what could happen to her. Last time I came out of Shadow, I didn't remember a thing about myself.
Yes, but Kitty's resourceful. Those hearts.
Okay, I don't think you meant to be mean, but that was.
Eye roll. So you still find yourself in this, quiet, foggy blue expanse of buildings and rooms with different memories. So what are you going to do about it?
Mr. Butler, do you know anything about this?
A quiet wind blows through one of the alleys.
Mr. Butler? Oh my God, where did he go? Where did he go?
The journal looks around. Why don't you make me a quick roll? To see
Okay,
if you
I
can-
will spend one of my
You are
perception.
looking for someone.
Dang, that was a 0.
That was a 0. Agamemnon Butler is nowhere to be found.
What is with today? This is terrible.
It's a bad day.
Okay.
Speaking of which, we should draw a sooth card.
See what kind of day it actually is.
Maybe not so bad. We have the Questing Knight, which was almost your card, correct?
That is indeed correct.
So I feel like you are on a mission, and so this is clearly the part of your story where there are challenges, right as things looked like they were going your way, but you will ultimately succeed, I think. So I think perhaps you're still quite positive. This is of the family Visions, which is not your family.
Right. So Calvin, okay. So I need I can't find Wayne, and I don't know where he went, and I also think he's out somewhere risking his life. Kitty is in Shadow, but I don't know how dangerous that could be. And I guess I'm not really responsible for Mr. Butler, so I'm sure if he's just lost somewhere in the street, he'll be fine. He said he knew how to get around here. What do I do?
Well, you came here looking for Kitty.
That's right. That's true.
But
do you think I should follow her into Shadow?
no. I think that sounds very dangerous. Sometimes Vizsla do this. And the journal opens to a page where Vittoria Zhu talks about a moment where, in extreme emotional conflict and torment at one point in her journal, she writes that she slipped away into Shadow for a few days before coming back. So this is a thing that happens to Vizsla.
Okay. All right. So that's
Another
not an
sub.
emergency. Well, then, I guess if I'm just walking through memories here, I could probably learn something about myself, right?
Quite possibly. Agamemnon Butler had mentioned that there were, I believe it was Agamemnon Butler, that even if, it was actually Lieberlight, even if you can't access your memories or access true memories, there might be others within Satyrine who you can look at their memories of you in the past.
Of course, that's right.
You're looking for what it was you did pre-war.
All right, so then this is easy. All we have to do is wander around here until we get a pre-war memory, and then we go track down whoever was there.
Makes sense.
Great. Hang on to your hat. Calvin is going to, He's going to perceive, but he's going to throw 2 sortilege
Ooh,
at
boy.
this to try and hunt around these halls for like a relevant memory, and I will spend a bene on that as well.
Is this just a normal looking thing, or are you weaving any?
So this isn't a spell. This
But
is
it's
sortilege, and for my perception. So
Excellent.
yeah, he is hunting around. Okay. So the highest I got was a 6, and no fluxes on that. Thank
Cool.
goodness.
And your venture was 1, correct?
Yes.
So it gets you to a 7. So you are tearing through these different rooms, and you find yourself, or you're I think you're dodging between buildings for a while, looking in the windows, trying to find an appropriate pre-war section of these memories.
Yeah.
Although their organization seems very non-intuitive. Sometimes you find a cluster of memories where you're like, oh, these seem to be temporally linked. Sometimes you find a cluster of memories that might be, there's a single person who's in all of them. But
like thematically linked. Okay.
yeah, so it's hard to tell. There's no Dewey Decimal System for this section. But what you eventually come to as you're searching and searching, you come to, first you pass, let's see, so you're searching and searching and searching, and then you see something with your good perception that stands out. And it is not immediately the pre-war memories. You're having trouble finding those, which makes sense, right? Most of Vizsla had left during the war, or and you're trying to find that just barely pre-war, right?
Right.
So you're looking around, and you pass a storefront, which you have
Okay.
not seen any non-residential areas here yet so far. Do you want to describe the outside of the storefront?
Sure. So the storefront that you see is a brick and mortar kind of place, but it's well tended. It's not crumbly. It didn't seem to have been affected in the war. Dark wood door, and in the window are things that just draw your eye. You can't quite tell if they're clocks, if they're doodads, but there's something about the storefront that it compels you to feel as if you've either been there before or you must go in.
Yeah, I think like we can see the reflection of this storefront in Calvin's eyes as he's looking at this memory. Now that seems like an intriguing place to start.
But it's closed. It's got a little closed sign out front. There is some writing above the door as you catch that that reflection of yourself. You get closer, and the inscription above the door is sort of in this arch over the wood door that says, "Everything changes and nothing stays the same." But doesn't seem to be anyone inside.
I mean, this is a memory, right? We could probably find this place in Saturnine.
This is not a memory. This is like a building where the memories were inside. This is an actual, honest to God, building.
Foiled again. Calvin approaches the shop now, just seeing if he can peer into the window and I know that this is probably not possible, but look for some store hours or something like that.
So tell me how you do that. Do you get really close to it? Are you using magic? You're just looking?
So
very
this is
mundanely?
just regular mundane looking right now to see if he can learn anything more about this place because it struck him.
So as you're looking through the window and you're trying to catch any flyers that might have a different time, some sort of information, and you don't find anything. So you take a step back and you notice that the little closed sign is of a different material this time. It's written in cursive this time, and it is out of it's got some kind of stone frame where it had just been a piece of wood before.
Well, that's odd. Okay. I can cast a spell and just go to the shop at a time when it was open.
You're gonna do a time travel spell?
I've never tried it before.
Lovely.
So let's see how it goes.
The journal looks anxious.
So I am going to, or we could stay in the same time. Tell me which of these you think is safer, because you really seem to be our expert on safety here. I could either try to occupy more than one time and go to it when it's open, or I could go to another universe where this place is open and, basically the same, except it's open this time.
The journal looks just more saddened by every word that leaves your mouth, and seems to tap their little foot, and says, "Well, hey, isn't that you inside?" And you turn back, and in one of the clocks, there seemed to be a reflection of you that was you staring at. Is you staring back at you, but is clearly not just a reflection. So it looks like there's an image of you that sort of passes through the glass.
Maybe I've already cast the spell then.
And the now closed sign is gone. So what does it look like when it is fully open?
So when you enter the store, there are shelves and shelves of clocks, but not a clock that you would normally see. Some things shimmer, some things catch your eye. Some are very dark and menacing, others are very full of light and glitter. They all seem to beckon you at once, but yet none of them calls to you specifically.
Oh my god, what a perfect card for this shop.
There are couches and it's very comfortable and you smell coffee somehow, but you don't see where it's coming from. And there's a lone dusty register that seems as if it's there for show more than actually buying something. So this is a place of curiosity and wonder, but you know that you have to be in here.
Okay. So, I'm sorry, did you have a name that you preferred?
Well, I am, of course, the travels, experiences, discoveries, and revelations of Vittoria Zhu.
Okay, but is there like a nickname that we could give you?
I'm not sure I would know anything about that. Do you have one in mind?
Well, I don't want to call you Vittoria because I don't want it to get confusing if we ever have to talk to Vittoria Zhu again. So let's call you Chronicle. Is that good?
That is good. Rourke says Sophie.
Sophie.
Did they have a name? Did this journal have a
Maybe
name?
the journal did have a name. That's right. Okay. Then we'll just remember that it was Sophie. Sophie, I'm a little 50-50 here. I feel like I should be here. And I feel like a bunch of these clocks want me to be here. But I kind of feel like if Kitty and Wayne were around, they would remind me that that's usually a trap.
Well, that's quite possible, but
Are clocks dangerous? Mirrors are dangerous. I
mirrors
just learned this.
very dangerous. Of course, you just learned this. Ooh, okay. Clocks are they, clocks are fine. Oh no, they are not as inherently evil, maniacal, and deadly as mirrors.
Okay, I'm not going to touch anything. Hello, is there a proprietor here? I wandered in here because I thought I should be here, and it opened in front of my eyes, and I saw myself in here. Is it possible for me to look for the clock that I saw myself in when I was looking in the window?
I think you can start looking for it. Absolutely. Why don't you make a roll? Although something might happen. Sophie is going to look for is sniffing the air and looking for that scent of coffee that's faint. So Sophie's just sort of wandering off. The card we drew was Endless Woods, which is about wandering aimlessly and not being able to get where you think you're trying to go. Mm-hmm. So that worked out for you. That is a mysteries card. So
I feel like I should have -1 to this roll no matter what because Endless Woods came up.
yeah, I feel like that makes sense.
So that gives me a 3 on the perception.
Okay.
Is the shop just different on the inside than it looked on the outside?
Maybe.
Calvin is that hopelessly lost that he can't even tell as he wanders shelf after shelf. He's right now trying to keep the front window within eyesight as he looks around. Though with a roll like that, maybe he just lost it.
Lost the window?
Lost the window. Like it was there and then it's not.
You certainly turn and look back, and there's a tall shelf behind you that is obstructing your view. So things are shifting a little bit here.
Okay. You're in a clock shop. Definitely magic. I don't want to break anything.
I'd appreciate it if you didn't.
Ah!
Don't yell, young man.
Calvin looks around. Is there a person?
Forbidden game. This is going to be notions for Calvin. That means exactly what it sounds like. So you've wandered into a web you're not sure about. So what do you look like?
So before you is a statuesque being, but in a tuxedo, a jaunty top hat. However, the clocks remind you of if you've left them out in the desert too long. Your proprietor has a literal clock face. Fingers are the hands of a clock.
Oh, cool.
Kind of claws, but not as sharp. And wearing spats, but the spats heels are also hands of a clock. Nice tie, very stately. You read the proprietor as female, and as far as the clock can look kind of expressive and interested in what has wandered into her lair. She's looking at you. So, Calvin.
You know who I am. We've met?
Maybe.
Okay, well, now I have more questions.
You might get answers.
Is this a time thing?
I'm a clock.
Well, what I mean is, I'm trying not to make assumptions. I'm actually wandering around this part of town because I'm looking for answers about my past. There's a lot of things that I don't remember. So there are a bunch of people who know me and have met me in the past, but I don't remember a thing about it. But I figured because you're a clock, and I don't want to make any assumptions, that you might be referring to the fact that we could have met in some future period that we haven't experienced yet.
That's possible.
Okay. I feel like I'm on the same cryptic level now. Well, this is a lovely shop. What do you do here?
I tend to memories, and I also, on occasion, sell time, but that's so boring. It's just snippets of time with people that squander them after they buy them.
Huh. Wow. Okay, I can see time being like a valuable sort of resource that people would be after. But you said memory. That's something I'm very, very interested in. I was actually just talking to the most fascinating spider about this earlier. And he was saying that a lot of the memories that I have are false, but I can't even remember half of those memories. So how could I even know if it was false?
Have you come here searching for memories?
Yes and no. I was originally here searching for my friend, but she went to Shadow, and I've got another friend who I'm really trying to get in contact with, but he's off somewhere between suns doing something unspeakably dangerous, I'm sure. So I figure in the meantime, I need to take some time to just work on myself, because there's just so much that I don't understand about who I am or what I'm supposed to be.
Well, self-reflection is always good.
See, now I was just told that mirrors are super bad, so...
Self-reflection? No, I did not say a mirror. And just to note that I'm not as evil as your companions would make me out to be.
Wait a minute. Whoa. Okay.
I can hear even though I'm a clock.
Right. Oh, is it about the shop thing?
Yeah.
I just assume most things are safe, and they're not.
Don't assume things are safe, Calvin.
Note that she didn't say she's safe. The journal says from over a shelf.
Just not as dangerous.
Not
Good point,
as
Sophie.
evil.
Yeah, that's right.
I
That's
have
right.
matches, little book.
Skitter.
Okay, now. Come on, that's my friend.
Your
We're
friend
friends
should
now.
learn wiser words.
I mean, that's true, but I mean, she's a journal, and she wasn't like walking and talking until very recently. So I'm sure you'll have to forgive her. She's new to things.
Oh, so she's new to being an entity.
Yes.
All right, you can come out, little book. I'll give you a second chance.
Very slowly, one dog-eared page after dog-eared page unfurls around a corner of a bookshelf and looks sheepish, but sort of wants to be in on the action.
Right. So Calvin, you said some of your memories are fake, or this is what someone has told you.
Yes, this is what someone told me, who's a memory collector and dealer, and he also repairs broken memories. He just a very, very nice person, but he disappeared when I was wandering what was the part of this part of town?
Deja Rue?
When I was wandering Deja Rue. And if I'm here, and I feel like I should be here, and you're the type of person that works with memory, perhaps this is a fate situation.
Perhaps. And I note that you said you were drawn in here. What particularly drew you in?
I took one look at the shop, and I was just... I guess it's a bit like deja vu. Not the feeling that that I've been here before, but more of a feeling of comfort that you have of walking into a familiar place, even though I've never seen this place before.
Okay.
Maybe I'm reading too much into things. I gotta be honest. I'm sorry, I didn't even ask your name.
My name is Teresa.
Teresa, what a nice name for a clock. Well, Teresa, I have to be honest about my situation right now. I am also the sort of person that's so awash in different anxieties that I might be looking at anything as a chance to feel comfortable and at home. So that could be playing into this as well.
Well, come with me, Calvin. Let me show you a couple of different options, and perhaps you can see what you find reflected in there and try to find yourself and see if this is true or false.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. I will note I am incredibly poor, so I will not be able to pay in a traditional sense if this consultation costs any orbs.
Any what?
You know how everybody pays with orbs?
What are orbs to a clock? I'm temporal. I'm everything. Do you think this matters to me, your petty currencies?
I don't know. You know, I'm going to be honest, no currency means anything to me right now because, again, it just looks like a bunch of marbles.
That's fair. But I have no need of human or other creatures' currency.
Oh, well, what are you after?
I'm a clock. I want time. I always want time.
Huh.
But come, time's wasting, as they say.
That sounds ominous, but I trust her more now.
So I go over to a large shelf of different clocks. They look more kind of, old-timey valves, gears you can see very plainly versus a nice closed clock. So Teresa picks up a clock. It is a dark wood base, kind of a smoky glass, and it looks ominous. There are clouds rolling through it, but it draws you. You can see yourself in this, but you're not sure what is pulling you into this particular site. Mm-hmm. It's just one thing that I've held out to you. You can look at others, but this is one that compelled me to show it to you first.
Oh, okay. Calvin walks up to the clock and leans down into it. I'm definitely feeling something, Teresa. There's a connection here.
I drew the card Incriminating Skull.
Oh wow, that card.
One of our favorites. It's of the Secrets family, and its meanings are disaster, discovery, evidence, connections, and friends and family.
Ooh.
The raven remembers your sins.
Huh.
Take that as it strikes you.
So as Calvin is staring into this ominous-looking clock, I go, see there, that little figure. Mm-hmm. It's a gentleman, I think. He looks rather gaunt and pasty, as if he's not seen the sun before, or not in many, many years. Is there anyone like that in your past or your present?
Huh. Does this person look familiar to Calvin as somebody they've seen before?
Does it resolve itself for Calvin to where they can see, or is it you peering through the mist?
I point out to Calvin again. Mm-hmm. They're well dressed. Is there anyone you knew that would have fit that description?
Well, gaunt like they've never seen the sun before.
Oh, more pale. Gaunt is...
Pale.
Keep in mind, we're looking at a clock. Gaunt could be subjective.
Oh, of course.
And the clothes, it's a crisp white, like uniform looking thing.
Well, a uniform, that could be Librelite. He's a book.
No, this isn't a book.
Okay.
Look closer. I get a strong sense of old earth on you. A strong sense of if I reference something, this may help you realize who we might be looking at.
Okay, old earth.
An ancient entertainment, I think you called it?
Like a TV show?
No, it would have been on a stage.
Okay, like a play.
But singing.
A musical?
Yes. That's what the word is.
Okay. Someone that I'd recognize from a musical.
That reminds you. Maybe.
Huh.
This is what I'm gathering from you. If I'm wrong, I do apologize. But the memory, the thing that is pulling to me is an ancient word or an ancient name. Does the name Sweeney Todd mean anything to you?
It means everything to me. First of all, Sweeney Todd is a fantastic show. Oh my God! Thank you. First of all, so Sweeney Todd is a story about a barber who's trying to get revenge because a long time ago his daughter was stolen away by a very wealthy man. And Calvin launches into
Sophie takes a seat.
Just rein it in, Calvin. Rein it in. So, Calvin, with that description, does this man now seem familiar to you?
Well, and Calvin sits for a minute, and he starts making connections in his head. I guess it's not too far off from Daniel McPherson. Daniel is this thing that when I first came out of Shadow, I thought was really doing me a solid favor by allowing me to live in the apartment above his shop. But as it turns out, he's a real predatory person, and he turns different things into sausages, and he's been hounding me and my friends for quite some time now.
Okay. That would explain the ominousness of this memory and this. It just feels very heavy in my hand. But this is a chance, Calvin. Do you wish to revisit?
I need to know everything about him. I think he's from the other sons.
Okay. All right. Well, stand back. I place the clock on the floor, and I scrape one finger over it, and it splits open. When you are ready, Calvin, you may enter.
Calvin looks to Sophie really quick to just.
Can I go?
If you wish to go, you certainly may, but the journey is his to take. He will lead you.
Safe for her?
It is safe. It is not. I'm not sending you back in time. This is very much reliving so you can discover if this is real or fake.
Oh.
I would not endanger you, young Calvin.
Okay. Wait a minute. Are these clocks my clocks?
Some.
Okay.
You are not the only traveler to pass this way.
Man, that's got to make rent here really high.
Well, there are prices to be paid, just not in coin.
Calvin approaches the clock, and he'll help Sophia off like whatever shelf she was on.
Is there a pocket that you've kept the journal in before? Don't you have that nice long jacket with the?
Oh yeah, that's right. He can grab her and tuck her into a pocket. And like I think, as he grabs her hand, like she will transform into a journal and stick her in a pocket. Now that is handy. And he'll take a delicate step into the clock.
All right, and the smoke comes up, it envelops you, and then the clock closes.
Cool.
And I will place the clock on the desk and sit back and see where this leads you.
Excellent. So this is an ominous memory. What is there? And this clock, you feel that as you step through it, there are several versions of events or several memories that are swirling together, and you're initially very disoriented. You're in that gray fog, that mist, that nowhere place initially. So I'm going to need you to sort of mentally navigate that space or use magic to clear it. You need to. Something about this requires an unlocking.
Okay. And I think in this space, there's that echoing tick of the tyrannical clock that we've heard so many times in the past.
Yes.
So I can't use infinity to make sense of things or freedom to organize things. So this is going to have to be a wind and thunder joint. All right. I am going to take grace from wind and movement from thunder, and I am going to try and step in step in between these disjointed things as though they were a connected whole. But this cannot be subtle. So this is like boy, how does this play out? I'm using thunder to do this. I think it's almost like what's happening in the clock right now, because it's either damaged or it has been tampered with in some way. There are gears that are spinning off into systems all their own. And what this is going to do is be a loud a series of booming thunderclaps that is moving the gears into different positions until they can work as a whole. So this sounds like a wild thing. It's going to be another thing that I'm going to use 2 of my sortilege on.
That's good, because I just drew Endless Maze. I am going to rule is definitely going to be working against you, and it's specifically, it's that the visions you're starting to get as they start to resolve are getting swirled up in the fog of what you think might be the lies that are also seeded throughout your memory.
Yeah.
Something about your conflicting truths are getting jumbled.
Okay, and I am also spending a venture on that. Okay, so I rolled a 7 with the venture. That is an 8. I don't know what level the spell was supposed to be.
Ooh, very good.
Okay. So not knowing what level the spell was, should I roll again? After assigning a level? Or?
Let's give it, let's say, does level 4 sound reasonable?
Sure.
5?
I mean, to rearrange a clock in that way, I think you'd be the person who would know what that would take.
This is all a little new to you anyway.
Yeah. So, I'll say I cast it at 4, but I do also get a flux.
Oh, good.
And that's the important thing.
That is the important thing. Excellent. So I think
And I'll describe this effect while we're learning what that flux is going to be.
Yeah, you start describing that effect.
So I think these booming thunderclaps, Calvin starts clapping in a rhythm, and as he does it, it echoes out, and it is sort of counter to some of the other rhythms there. But there is that deep sound of the tyrannical clock that is overwhelming this place over all of the other clinking and clanking gears. And Calvin claps in the rhythm of the tyrannical clock to bring all of the gears into that same rhythm, so we can hear the groaning of brass, the creaking of wood as those the teeth of those gears are forced to work together and once again come back to the rhythm of the tyrannical clock.
Excellent. So I drew a delightful flux as you're using magic to do this. Something pings off of a gear that's in here, part of your magic or your thunder. You can feel that acoustic reverberation that wasn't intended.
Yeah.
And from Sleepy Origami, we got who gave us Lucy Bright. So
Oh boy.
which I didn't mean to do, but that's great. Memories of an accomplished tailor, like a person who sews, flash briefly before your eyes, leaving you with a much improved ability to knit, sew, or otherwise alter any fabric.
Probably pretty useful for a weaver to get.
It does sound pretty useful, so that's kind of, which is good because most of our flux have been devastating.
Yeah.
So it's
The last one rendered me blind. So
for a significant portion of time. Cool. So I do think this endless maze means that the effect starts to, you start to see a memory that you're really excited by. Do you want to describe the one that you would like to be, that looks really tantalizing before you get pulled away into a different Daniel
the
McPherson
one that's tantalizing is the breach that I saw, like on the edge of the universe. Like I can hear the rumbling and creaking of the golden ship falling to pieces as I'm staring off into the abyss of the edge of the universe, and then something tears, and I see the vision of that man before me. And I think, like, because these are memories, different emotions are, like, Calvin normally when he sees Daniel McPherson, he feels fear.
Yeah.
But in this memory, it's excitement and curiosity.
Ooh.
Because he's seeing something that he pushed all the way to the edge of the universe to see.
Excellent. So you're reliving that emotional state too. Perfect. So you start to see that vision, that chaotic torrent of the ship out in the spaces between the suns as the rent is getting torn open, and then that aperture's shut as a fog rolls in, and what billows, and you sort of get belched forth out of this fog into the day that you left Shadow. So you are just entering the little pharmacy associated with a hospital where you were going to pick up your medications from your pharmacist, Daniel McPherson, and you had just had some strange things happen to you. Your coworker was gone, and you saw a strange woman. There's been a bunch of odd things happening, but you find yourself that same day where you are just entering that
God,
that
I was
space.
talking to a mouse. Maybe it was a rat, a small rat. So like Calvin is sort of looking at this situation with completely new eyes, knowing that that he has the rat coin and is followed by the rats. Like there's the rat over there trying to get me to stay there, and then Daniel McPherson is my pharmacist. What's he up to? So like I think he's like looking at himself here. And he's,
or is it that you step into your old space?
Oh,
I think you relive it.
Oh,
So I think you
okay.
find yourself. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
you relive it, and
But you can make different choices potentially.
correct. So
Oh.
so kind of out of character. This is not a chance to go back and make totally different choices and then it will come back and you will change what has happened. It is, like you said, you're seeing it with new eyes. So you're like, oh, this is what was really happening.
So if I'm going to put this in terms that I can understand, it's like I've got an old save in a video game that I can go back and see what the other choices were, but it's not going to affect my main save.
Think of it as a dialogue wheel and picking maybe the not so aggressive choices versus sarcastic or red choices.
Right. Okay.
And meanwhile, you notice a clock not with you, but you're like, that clock looks a little strange, but you don't know if it's Teresa peeping in on you or if it's just something you didn't notice before.
So Calvin now is like, so then he is in his shadow self in this waiting room looking at this rat sitting on a chair across from him.
Everything's duller here now that you've experienced the actuality. The shadow feels
Like, yeah,
less
the colors are less
saturated.
vivid. Oh, that's so cool. So Calvin's like looking around, and he has briefly a terrifying thought that all of this was a dream or a hallucination. And so he needs something to prove to himself that it's not. And how would he do that? Trying to think of, might be able to just try and use magic, or that wouldn't work in Shadow.
Well, what do you think? And I would say this is so vivid and so like you are back there. I might ask a roll to sort of stay present as yourself and not
Okay.
fall into those old and not fall too deeply prey to your emotions that you had been feeling at the time, which was very frantic. So this is sort of a how together are you able to keep it right now? And that will
That's
maybe
a tough
that will tell
question
me.
for Calvin generally.
It is a tough question. So this might be, what do you think it might be? Potentially intellect, or it's just sort of remind yourself and emphatically insist the truth that you now know is real?
Yeah, I'm thinking intellect is the one, and I will spend a bene from it. So that, and I spent a bene and a venture, and I will spend one sortilege on this.
As you pull forth
Pull
that
forth
innate.
like any sort of innate magics together to keep myself going, and I make a total. So I roll 4 with the 2 from the bene and the venture.
Wow.
That is a 6.
Okay,
But am I being?
you are not being enhanced.
Okay.
That's secrets for Wayne. Oh, but I just pulled. Well, so I was looking for a 7 there. Revolutionary, the sovereign of of secrets, and a sovereign actually gives you a +1. So
Oh, great.
Let's say that this tips you over that edge. But how can we work in the themes of revolutionary,
So-
which we know to be raw sexual energy, etc.?
But it's also like destruction, right? So Calvin he's breaking something.
Oh, cool. That makes sense.
But I'm trying to figure out exactly what he's breaking that reminds him who he is.
You have that pill bottle that you're looking to. You have your prescription.
Yeah, that's right. I had a prescription in my hand. I had Vizlex in my hand. So he's got it, and like I think he can feel the control that the bottle is trying to assert over him here. It is like whatever this medication was, I think it's like one of the reasons that he emerged from Shadow without power. It's something that McPherson was giving him to like dull his abilities and make him a more vulnerable prey.
Yep.
So like,
In that moment, you actually know that to be true.
yeah.
This is a realization that you're
It's-
sure about as you're holding that pill. You can, that innate magic that you now are still able to hold on to, you know what this was doing to you and what he's about to try to do to you more as you refill your prescription. He's up behind the desk. There's a little flurry of activity. You see him sort of walk forward, consult with someone who's at the front of the desk, and then nods to you as, hello, and
Yeah.
moves back.
Yeah, Calvin shoots a glare at him and then moves his vision over to the rat. And
Sweet.
yeah, he looks at it. He looks at the pills, and he like makes, God. You know what?
Oh, no.
He's like, yeah, he's angry, and like this is destruction. I think golden flames envelop this bottle and burn it away until it is nothing. and he like flexes his hands opened and closed again. So Calvin knows that when he was here, the way events unfolded the first time is he didn't trust the rat and he didn't trust McPherson, and eventually his doctor came and led him out of Shadow.
Yes.
So if something is different, I think it is following the rat and
Okay.
like trusting it this time. So Calvin, like after he burns the bottle away, he leans down to this rat and goes, "Where do I need to go?"
The rat gets up on its hind legs and puts a paw on your pants or your jeans. As sort of, I'm here with you. Sort of a consoling little paw, and then it starts scurrying off.
Okay.
Feel free to jump in anytime.
Calvin
This
is
is
going
new.
to like get up and start moving after it.
You hear a soft little chime as you make this decision.
Beautiful.
I love it.
Awesome. Let's draw a card. Let's see where this is taking you. Misunderstood Beast. Gosh, this game.
Yes.
This is-
God.
You had
following
misunderstood it the
rat.
first time. Oh, gosh.
You're not fooling anyone, Monty Cook. You're not fooling anyone. We know you're a sorcerer.
It's true. Its meanings are mistakes, gentleness, friendship, danger, betrayal. I don't know why I look at this anymore. We always know what it means. Excellent. So you are this rat is scurrying and taking you down kind of labyrinthine halls into different wards of this hospital building. It brings you to a big set of double doors that are big metallic, heavily sealed door, kind of fire door situation, and it can't pass because it's a tiny rat, and so it holds a paw up here and looks at you.
Calvin nods and goes to push on the door.
Skitter, 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 and it is you are continually going down these hallways. You're starting to get into a sort of administrative back wing of this hospital, and the saturation of this area is starting to come back a little bit. The reds are a little fuller,
Whoa.
and the light coming through the windows, tinted through that green kind of UV blocking windows, is starting to brighten, and that green is coming through a little more strongly.
I think, and Calvin he takes Sophie out of his pocket, which I think, even though he's not wearing his suit, like he goes to the interior pocket of his winter jacket, and there's the journal.
Yeah,
and though she's
absolutely.
not like a person here, it's like his art journal. So
Yeah.
Calvin opens it up and he grabs like the pen out of it and starts like writing down to Sophie. Are there places in actuality that blend together with Shadow?
Writing, it's not even writing. It's kind of stick figure drawing of Sophie as a kind of book person. That is almost like you're flipping through pages. It has that sort of stop motion movement of the stick figure, sort of shrug, and question mark, and then a little like kid's handwriting, not very talented at it, is I've never heard of such a thing, but not much is known about Shadow
Calvin,
in a real sense.
Calvin nods. People
And you
really
hear
need
a
to study
strange
this
little
sort of thing.
chime, not a positive chime, but not a discordant clatter either.
Calvin puts his nose to the grindstone and like shelves that idea. He's now got his journal in one hand, and he's moving quickly after the rat, like trying to follow the path.
Great. The rat is starting to get impatient with you as you stopped to use the journal, and starts taking off further down the hallway. Dangerous elixir. You get to an office that the rat stops in front of, and it's got the door closed, and you seem to be in a little kind of cul-de-sac functionally of a couple little doctor's offices, and there's a meeting room behind you. This is not where treatment happens, but where doctors have their private places, right? So the one that has the name tag over it it says Daniel McPherson, but as you're watching it, the little nameplate keeps shifting around, and the lines that form the words are undulating, and you can't quite keep your eyes on any one distinct form of them anymore.
Calvin like goes up, grips the door handle confidently, and like pushes it open. Very aggressive and like questing after the truth right now.
Absolutely. Dangerous elixir means power, transformation, risk, and consequences. A test of bravery in a single bottle. This is going to be Calvin's card as well. So this is a +1 for you.
Oh, yes.
My friend. Thank you. So as you throw the door open, there is, we know where it's supposed to be. That's fine. It's let's see, that's the red sun. We don't like putting things on the red sun anymore, I suppose. They've burned us in the past. So you throw open the door, and at first it is a perfectly ordinary, not very saturated doctor's office. There are medical texts up on shelves that sort of extend up to the ceiling. This is a level that's sort of built down into the earth, and so there's a high window that just shows you the grass and the sort of the main level of the build of the floor outside. And it seems very ordinary at first, but you are immediately aware that something, the saturation keeps trying to flit through, and the truth of what this place is keeps trying to eke through. Something is pulling it back.
All right.
And the rat will not enter. The rat waits for you outside and is washing its hands.
I'll only be a moment. Calvin moves in, like sort of takes a minute to collect the office in his mind, and I guess he's going to look for a filing cabinet of some sort.
Excellent. Why don't you give me some kind of, so, your initial, I'm going to ask for a roll for looking beyond magical barriers, basically.
Okay.
And I'm actually going to require 2 successes for this because it is a well-warded illusion, basically.
Okay, well, I will use a sortilege then. And I'm going to use a venture. And I've got all these perception that I bought up at the start, so I will also spend perception.
Okay.
All right, so I got a 6 and a 3. The 3, I guess, is the important one because I'm looking for 2 successes here.
And you have +1 from that, a venture, and perception.
So that's 6 is my top roll.
So you are able to look past it. And how does that manifest? Or how do you snap this place into revealing the truth for you?
Okay.
Or is it just a squinting and then you register with the right angles that you should be looking at this place through?
I like the idea of Calvin. Well, this is one of his abilities for his walking the path of suns, right? Because it's his indigo sun ability is seeing the truth, seeing through illusions, and seeing through lies. So I think Calvin's green eyes like have a little bit of an indigo glow to them as he like focuses on the room, and like the swirling, hard to see stuff like snaps and stops like somebody that you've caught sneaking around like.
Excellent. I think there might be a chime as well.
Oh, this is a very, very happy
good
chime. And you notice when you focus that there may be a similar looking clock in the room that wasn't there before.
Excellent. I think that clock is the first thing you're able to materialize. You register, that clock. You're sort of tuned to clocks right now. And then the rest of it cascades and you register all the other changes that are in this room. And it is a horrible magical laboratory. There are strange components in jars, all stacked up to the ceiling, back against one wall. There is a big piece of vellum that is hanging from one of the walls, full of arcane symbols and what looks like it could be dried blood in it, and different connections and seeming. It's hard to make out exactly what it might be indicating, but it's some big, scary, big piece of vellum, big thing of blood magic, which is never a great sign. But it is the figure slumped in the back of the room that disturbs you the most. and that is a kind of homunculus in your own image. It's made of twigs and refuse and what looks like a bit of dried animal fur and like kind of an algae mat in different places. All these strange bits of organic components threaded together with messy thread. You immediately know how it could have been improved in terms of the stitching. However, that is not exactly the issue. But it is a figure like yourself, but from Saturnine. It is the image you've seen in your visions of pre-war, of you in your Navy outfit, and it is this homunculus is slumped in the back corner, and above it is a like functionally a murder board, right? It's one of those sketched images of different people in your life, and so you immediately recognize Kitty, and you recognize Wayne, and the Kitty Hart the First, and Librelite circled with a red marker over and over and over again. This place is very chaotic, and there are dozens more images of different people who you don't recognize, but it is this whole web hovering over your homunculus body that presumably Daniel Macpherson has been using for some purpose.
Okay. So I have one question out of character to make sense of one of the things you said. Have all the pre-war memories that I have, like, are they all connected to this thing? Meaning, is everything that I've seen from pre-war so far false, and the only true image that I've seen that one of myself on the ship, or is does this just mean that some of them are connected to this homunculus and it's been used to like mess with some of them?
Interesting. So I was under the impression that you didn't have almost any pre-war memories.
I don't, but I have seen them other places.
Right.
And I guess what seeing this homunculus is implying to me is that Macpherson has somehow been using this doll in place of me to create a vision of myself pre-war. And if that's like he's essentially rewriting my entire history, or are there some things that are actually real? What Calvin's terrified of in this moment is, does this mean the relationship that I've had with like Librelite, is that
was
false?
Fabricated?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to need you to make some kind of roll to ascertain that.
Oh, well, one thing, I do know that I have a wedding band. So I know that because that is my one vision of truth, but I guess I only know that out of character.
So this might be an intellect roll?
Yeah.
Suss out the convoluted logic of what's going on here. Gonna spend a venture?
I am definitely
Not a bad
spending
idea.
that venture.
So out of character, is
Yeah.
this said all out loud, or is this internal monologuing?
Good question.
Well, I think it is always a good character trait to have them speak out loud, especially when we're going through these investigations. So Calvin, I think the way that he would vocalize it, what have you been doing, Daniel? And he's like following this conspiracy board across. And like, I think he's noticing in some of the geometry is similar to the way Kitty does like summoning circles. So like that's an element of it, but clearly that doll has maker aspects to it. But some of the stitching would be something that you'd learn through weaving. Maybe you're an apostate.
So as Calvin is doing this, the chiming is not ominous, but it's very low, not almost like heartbeat as you are pondering these things.
And like I think he's eventually drawn to Librelite because it's like such a big center of this image. Is that a lie too? His grip tightens, and he flashes back to his own memory of that moment on the edge of the world, Librelite's concern for him, all the kindness that he's seen from Librelite since. And I think he's not sure, but we're gonna roll. Okay, I got a 7 and a 6.
Wow. And you spent a venture?
I spent a venture, and that is my suit.
It is your suit. It's your heart. Lovely. It's as you almost involuntarily reach out toward the image of Librelite, which is sketched messily, but clearly his likeness. And it's as you touch that you get reverberations of what magical. This is actually, as you suspected, part of some kind of twisted goetic summoning or connection. Right? It's a web, and so as you touch it, you realize that Libra Light is the one part that is not functioning in this scenario.
Okay.
So he is, and what you gather about this whole situation is that this seems like all these people in your life are ties that might have pulled you out of shadow, and McPherson was using this somehow to try to keep you shielded from them and in shadow. And that circle of Libra Light is that was the one thing that he couldn't quite master.
Right, and Libra Light is the first person that I ran into once I left. So Calvin, with that knowledge, seeing, okay, so I know that he was trying to keep me here. And while I was here, he was using that medication to keep me weak.
And as you are pondering this magic, that touch that you had given it continues reverberating a bit, and you start getting flashes of the magic sort of lashes out in a bit of a flux of its own as you've disrupted it. And you are flashing through with memories of shadow that you had, and then you are flipping to what what the truth was. So you get, so you have a flash of scenes of Daniel McPherson, screaming at you and yelling and sort of in this interrogation style thing, trying, shaking you, trying to get something out of you. He wants something from you, and he tried every tactic he had at his capability, and then would snap you back into shadow after he had tried to get something out of you.
Whoa!
So those are the memories that are false.
What a fucking
least
revelation that is. Oh my God.
So I think that's when...
Oh, that's very much a win. And you hear a very clear chime, almost like a bell that you think is very wrong to come from a clock. And suddenly there's light around you. What have you learned, Calvin?
I wasn't in shadow, not really. McPherson had me somewhere, held against my will, and he erased me. He took everything. Every connection that I had to actuality, he moved it away to try and keep me there so that he could learn something from me.
And what benefit would that have been to him?
I don't know. I was part of the war effort before. Before Shadow, I was part of some war effort, and I took a ship into the Umbra, between suns, and I went to the edge of the universe. I was looking for something, and I thought I found it when I saw McPherson. But the ship fell apart, and all of my friends and loved ones that were with me, they had to escape, but I stayed behind. And I don't know if it was because I was looking for something or because I already knew something. But on the edge, it opened up and I saw him. I saw him in a world that's beyond ours, from another sun entirely. And then I fell to shadow. But McPherson wanted something from me. He was trying to learn something as well.
Well, this, unfortunately, is not where you will learn it. But there are more clocks. Do not despair.
Well, Teresa, I'm game for anything. This is you. I know you said that I might not find answers, but these are the most answers that I feel like this is the highest density of answers I've had anywhere in actuality.
All right. Well, I'm glad that you found some part of what you're looking for. But it's time to return to the shop for now.
Of course. I'm ready.
I know that you feel very close, but this is not the place to find what you seek. As you noted, there are many, many places you can look in the shop. So let us return, and we'll find another space for you.
All right.
And so, snap my fingers. Instead of the dark, ominous clouds that surrounded us, a column of warm light surrounds us, and then suddenly we are back in the shop.
Wow. And you do this all day as a job?
Not all day. It depends on who finds the shop, because it appears at need.
Well, this is a cool job.
It can get a little old after a millennia or so.
Sophie starts peeking her head out of your jacket and looks a little nauseous from all of that, but whispers to you, that seemed very useful to you, but what is the cost?
Oh, yeah. How do I pay you? You said you dealt in time.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? I think I learned something very important about contracts a couple weeks ago, and I need to know exactly what you need from me before I go looking at another clock. I don't even know if I could afford that.
Again, I tell you it's not coin that I seek, but time. Once you have your answers, I require 24 hours total from you to be given at your leisure.
Like working for you?
Not really. It's a transference of things, of sorts.
You want to take a day of my life. Is that it?
Oh, not of your life per se, but of your time. It's hard to explain to mortals, but it won't hurt, and it will not be taken at this time. Because as you see, I've got plenty of it right now, and I will far, far outlive you, Calvin. When it's time to collect, I may show up. I may send a little messenger, a little clockwork bird that will come to you, and just take a tiny little bit of your time.
Well, Teresa, I gotta say that sounds like it's a pretty big ask. Again,
Calvin, I just gave you more answers than you've gotten in how long of searching.
I know, but since I've come to actuality, I've learned that there's a cab that you can take that will take you where you need to go, which sounds...
That is not the function of a cab.
It's more explicit than that. But it takes you where you need to go, but it takes what you can afford to give.
Can you not afford a day, young man?
I don't know. I mean, I've already done that, but as to whether or not I can do more, I'm not sure. I have so many suspicions about myself and who and what I might be, and I know that I'm supposed to do something very important.
Correct.
So,
Any time, any payment of time would not cut short what it is you must do. It would come out of the allotted time to you as a human, I think you are.
I think so too. Well,
Calvin, I do not ask for more than you can give. I do not wish to steal a day from you, an hour, even 5 minutes. You have something to be done, and by the rules of my kind, I cannot take the time from you. I would not ask for more than you can give, than you can spare.
Some of the angels told me that I've been looking for something that I shouldn't be. And now I find out that I'm supposed to be doing something important, and I got in this situation because I did something dangerous, and that's how I met Daniel McPherson. So if learning something from you is going to help me undo the things that I've done wrong, then I think it's worthwhile. And if you're not going to take away from what important thing I have to do, then I guess a day is worth the price.
And I reassure you, Calvin, this day will not be one whole day of your life. You won't even notice. It may just go and come in 5-minute increments. I am bound by the rules of not just time and space, so I cannot harm you, I cannot deter you. I can only help you as much as I can. And this little bit of time, which is nothing to someone like me, but a lot to you, is a very small payment for what I can reveal.
Okay. Okay, I think it's worthwhile. I think I have to do this.
And if you wish to take a moment to think about it, I will not pressure you.
Well, would you mind if I looked for the clock first? If one strikes me as particularly important, then maybe it'll be a worthwhile thing. But, if I don't find something as significant as that, then maybe it's not something I need to do.
That is more than fair. Would you like me to show you another clock, or would you like to look for yourself?
Well, let's walk together.
All right.
So Calvin's going to walk around, and Darcy, you pulled a new card.
I did pull a new card. It's kind of a heck of a card.
Yeah,
It's
looks
called
like it.
the Jackal. It is a nemesis of mysteries, which is fortunately not yours, but it is a -1 to anything you're trying to do.
Oh God, and it's the Invisible Sun card, so that -1 stands,
no.
Darcy.
Okay, so this is some kind of turning point. If you have any
So if
ideas.
someone wants to spend the bits,
Oh gosh, hey.
you could save us from the ongoing -1 to everything we do.
Begging you.
I'm just reminding them that they have the option,
have
Darcy.
They have that power,
They have
and it's
that
really
power
their
and
fault if
privilege.
something horrible happens to Calvin.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Its meanings are intimidation, power, ruthlessness, dark magic, and necromancy.
Jeez.
And the game narrative meaning is that demons get involved, or an NPC uses powerful and probably dark magic, something important gets destroyed by magic, or the dead get involved. There's a whole bunch of things that can happen. So I think this is terrifying. Let me know if you have any ideas for something that could
Because
turn.
we're looking for a clock right now.
Yeah, you are looking for a clock. So I think, let us see.
Oh, clocks can be terrifying in their own right, wouldn't you say, Calvin?
I mean, I've certainly seen some intimidating designs for clocks. And there we go.
Okay.
Two people throwing that one
You're
right
amazing.
out.
Should we keep one redraw for
Yeah.
thank both of you.
Thank
Elusive sleep. That sounds lovelier, because this is going to be real bad. Okay. So and that is visions, which is kitties, but is in any case no longer actively taking away from your success here. So elusive sleep is there's a lot of endless things in this game. Futility, worry, stress, and awareness. So I think you come across one of the clocks that grabs your eye, perhaps, is related to this, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it was a time where you were struggling against something, where you were. I think it's a time when you failed, and it could be very recent. Do you remember like a memory that Calvin would kind of keep like mulling over? Is there a recent failure,
God,
letting someone down, that you are kind of feeling a lot of anxiety about? Man, I wish that could have gone differently.
I mean,
I feel like that might be a memory that catches you.
immediately it's like when he challenged his friends and he was fighting them. Like that's definitely something that's been worrying him, especially because, we rescued Kitty, but Wayne and I really only had a second to talk to each other, and now he's gone. And Calvin doesn't know where he went. So I think that's been plaguing him. Kitty was rescued, but she went right into deja vu and started reliving this memory over and over, and now is back in shadow. So I think from Calvin's perspective, there's just a lot that went wrong that can all be traced back to that moment.
Cool. I think that's the moment that is calling to you. So how does that clock catch Calvin's attention? Is it just a feeling or visual cues, or?
So the clock that speaks to me as Calvin is having this discussion is a very pretty clock, and pretty in the sense of it looks almost out of place in this very dark shop. It catches the light that you wonder where this light came from all of a sudden. It makes you feel almost romantic as you notice the very lovely facets and beautiful light playing off of it.
I think the thing about this clock then is it moves in that spiral shape that of Librelite's tower because it's like so rooted to that moment that they were standing on that door front. So it's just got that cool spiral, and I feel like it moves in and then it moves out with its movement. So it's like just a wild looking clock.
So Teresa taps the top of that one very gently. Has this one caught your eye, young Calvin?
I think so. Maybe it's because I lived through the moment before all that stuff that was going down with Daniel McPherson, but this memory, I feel like I know what it is.
Really?
I don't know what I would learn from it. Very recently I upset my friends. They were trying to help me, but they were accusing someone close to me of doing something that he didn't do. He did it, but he didn't do the things that they thought he did, and it's a complicated situation, but I almost fought them, and it drove us apart. And now I don't know really where either of them are or if they're okay, and the whole reason that one of the big reasons that they're in trouble is because of me and because they tried to help me.
Do you still have love in your heart for them?
Calvin just nods silently.
Is that a yes or no?
Yes. I do, but there's a lot of guilt around it.
Well, guilt can be worked through, Calvin. So, I very gently pick this one up. Because this one has your heart. It needs but the barest of kisses to unlock it. And fear not, if I'm not there physically, I will be with you mentally. This is gentle and it is delicate, but I can feel that this is something you need right now. So I just hold it out. Very.
Calvin is like thinking, and he's weighing it like 24 hours it's gonna cost, and he has to know what he can learn from it. I think this is his one opportunity really at finding some sort of peace in that. So yeah, Calvin will lean over to it and purse his lips and deliver a very gentle kiss to it. And I think that kiss, like the emotion of that and the emotions that he feels sort of like manifest in his lips and like creep over his face and into the rest of his body as he like kind of melts into it, and he's sort of like floating and awash in it. It's very different than the experience of going into the first clock.
So Teresa cradles this one close to her chest and takes a seat in a comfy chair and guards over Calvin as he goes into this moment.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
So good. Tanya to pass, people. Oh my gosh.
Oh my God!
Is that
This
good?
is his card.
You sorcerer!
Okay, cool. So
Darcy, do you realize that if we had done both pulls, that would have been the invisible sun card for this section? Unbelievable.
Whoa. Okay. Golden ship. In fact, yeah. Lovely. Whew. Okay, so this should give you some insight. So you step right back into, you are the Kitty and Wayne have finally been convinced that that you are trustworthy, right? They had been.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
why don't you-
right,
why don't you
right.
set
They're
the
like
scene
no
for
more
them?
secrets. So yeah, I guess if it starts there, we're in the Waynosphere. And Wayne and Kitty were talking about. Wayne was saying something like, "No more secrets between us." And Calvin was like, he was feeling like he needed to go see Librelight, and it's because Wayne had shown him the audio, and he was confused.
Yes.
So. And he was like, "You were spying on me." So there was like a lot
Right.
of emotion that was in that moment. So now he's back there.
Cool. And I think against your wishes, your body is going through the words that you were saying to them, the kind of hurtful things that you said that was pushing them away when they were finally ready to reach out, for understandable reasons.
Yeah.
But now you know the consequences of that, and you feel. You wish it hadn't gone that way, I think. So what happens with the audio, though, is as your body is saying the hurtful words that you had said at them at the time, your vocal cords are producing a sound that is the truth of those words and where they're coming from. So when you were lashing out,
Yeah.
what was it really coming from? What were you really what was the truth of that? What was the underlying meaning of those words, even though they were coming across as just push away? Like, what are the emotions and thoughts and feelings that they were coming from?
I think it is.
No more secrets, Calvin.
Yeah, because then this is on the top of Librelite's tower when they are trying to tell him that they want to go confront Librelite. And Calvin is saying, "No, we're not going to do that."
Yeah.
So I think it's, "Please don't take this away from me. I want to believe in something."
And they're speaking back to you. We love you, but we worry for you so much that we want to make the decisions for you to keep you safe and to keep you making choices that will keep you safe. So as they're, have been spying on you and trying to boss you around, it is coming from a place of love, even if misguided.
Yeah, and I think it'll come to that moment where Kitty was like going to cast a spell, and I think I might even see the fact that like that confrontation actually happened and then time reversed. So like
Yes.
I'll see something that
Cool.
was at first completely unfamiliar to me.
Yeah.
And Tanya, you might need to weigh in on this because Kitty sort of like what happened. Kitty cast a spell on Calvin. Calvin reflected the spell back at her, and in that moment, she reversed time to before she made that decision and decided not to cast the spell. But Calvin
Had
didn't
no
even know.
idea.
Had no idea.
So
Yeah.
in re-seeing this now, you see what happened. So as you relive that moment and see that Kitty rebounded and caught the spell and made the decision not to do it, you feel a fluttery chime. You feel it more than hear it. It's almost like the heartbeat that you felt earlier, but it's troublesome. It's reflecting your confusion of the moment, because now you know what really happened.
Yeah.
And is it regret? Is it sorrow? Is it hurt? Or is it realizing that your friends were looking out for you, and in that moment they decided to take back what had been done?
Yeah, that's. Yeah, because I think. So, I think Kitty, when she's saying the spell, "I need you to listen to us," as she casts the spell, And Calvin, like, as he reflects back, ready to fight them, says, "I will not be controlled." And like thinking, I think in that moment, because he's inside himself too, he realizes there's a break in the false memories, and for a brief moment he sees what McPherson has done to him, and like that's what was happening there.
Cool.
Then that got rewritten, and Kitty, instead of casting a spell, said something. And I think, well, what are Kitty's sentiments, do you think, as she decides not to escalate the situation by casting the spell?
I think you get a slightly wide-eyed impression. You get, I think, that chiming. It's actually across that invisible yet always present silver umbilical between the two of you, that faded connection that you have.
Right.
You get a quickly, like a heartbeat that is sped up, a fear. You get a fear chime sense from her that it is, she had been fearing for you, and it turned a little bit into fearing you.
In
that moment.
I think she says, "I'm afraid of you," and I think Wayne says, "I'm afraid of you," and Calvin, because this is the moment where he flies off to confront OG Kitty Hart, because he was trying to figure out if she was working with Daniel McPherson. And so, "I'm afraid
That's
of you."
possibly where it
afraid
ends,
of
but-
you. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what Calvin was saying in that moment. Because he wants to investigate. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm going to try and put this together in my head really quick.
Timey-wimey things with emotions. Do you want me to draw a card? Will that inspire you?
Yeah,
or are you
maybe
trying
that'll
to think about
inspire
it?
me.
Suspicious hound. That's alarming.
Oh dear. And while Calvin is thinking
Yeah.
the chiming, it's not quite a pulse, but it does kind of respond to how quickly he's thinking. And it's not like hurry up and make a decision, but it's
Tracking.
it's unhappy, and it's as if his thoughts go a certain dark way, it will become very discordant and jangly. And because he has this silver kind of tie to Kitty, it will affect her as well. You can't undo her decision to not cast the spell, but that fear could get intensified if you let this spiral too badly.
So I think
Cool.
the thing that Calvin was going to say in this moment is, "I have something to do, and I don't know what it is." And he realizes that, because like we've been speaking in subtext this whole time, and like he's mostly been reliving the scene, and what he was trying to do when he was flying off was continue this quest of dealing with McPherson, even though his friends were chasing down a red herring and being a little bit intrusive while they were doing it. So he looks to them and said, "I need you to help me, so I can't have you be afraid of me." And that's the change in the scene, and like
Cool.
I think this is like the very end of this clock. So it's, what does that mean?
Yeah, how does it?
Well, when you say that you need them not to be afraid of you, you hear a very tinkly sound, a very almost uncertain chiming, until you face them and see that they understand finally. And the chiming gets stronger, and you feel better. And that light comes back. And while you don't feel resolved, you know what happened now.
Yeah. Yep. He has a very clear idea of what happened in that moment. And like as he emerges from the clock, like he is crying. He's not like weeping, but tears are streaming down his face.
And far more gently than you think a creature with clock hands could do. I wipe away your tears. Did you get the answers you needed?
I think I learned that problems can be solved, and that's the most important thing. And now that I'm here and grateful for the help that you gave me, Teresa, I also think that it's possible that someone in my position could spend all of their time here.
Very true.
I don't think either of us can afford that.
No, the 24 hours is for as many clocks as you wish to purview.
Are you serious? Let's keep going.
Oh, as you are human, you do need to sleep and eat. I don't.
Do we want to montage a couple random things, or
Oh my
or
gosh.
is that too unserious?
We can montage.
I love it. Let's pull.
By the way, this suspicious hound was being plagued by doubt and indecision.
Are you kidding me?
And
The card actually did the thing in real life.
it changed you.
Hashtag Monty Cook Game Sorcerer. Hashtag Monty Cook Lies.
Great. Super cool. All right. So what would you, are you cool? Do you want to take a lead on getting inspired by a couple? So sealed door.
Oh,
I
dear.
think we should each draw one.
Oh, I like that.
All right, so let's each draw one. I have a sealed door.
Yeah, so you can key off of the art, or I can give you the meaning here in case you wanted to like get inspired by any part of this piece of text.
Ooh.
Ooh.
God, this rules.
This could be interesting.
By the way, Tanya, everybody. Good God.
Yeah.
Just take this show away from me. Can I
No.
play in your game?
Sure.
This is incredible.
Oh, I have a good one.
Okay, great.
So,
Need this?
I do want to look up the themes for this.
as Calvin is wandering about, looking for more clues, more
Yeah.
options, maybe something about his beloved, he comes across a clock that both draws him in, yet will be very foreboding to anyone else.
Ooh.
It's ebony. Its hands are a lovely golden crystal that move very slowly with purpose. And there's no discernible dome, but you can see the fine clocks, and the gears are crystalline. And by all rights, this really shouldn't work because these materials don't go together. And before I can stop him, he grabs for this one and holds it and lets out a yell of despair and almost drops it. And I catch it. It's like, what happened? What did you feel? Why did you drop this?
It hurt.
Physically.
I can't explain it, but not like it was happening to me. Like it was happening to everything.
To the world.
Yeah, but bigger than that.
To all the worlds. I think we best leave this one alone for now. That
But
is not-
Calvin like goes to reach
No.
for it again.
not yet, Calvin. This has a role to play, but not yet. Entering this will be disaster. It will undo all of the work you've accomplished. And the
like,
price for this is far, far too high.
I think there is a tunnel vision that Calvin sort of has as he's looking at that, and her words start to like take on that quality that you have like after like leaving a very loud concert where everything sounds a little
Muffled
bit fuzzy
underwater.
and whatnot, and instead the most prominent sound that you can hear is once again the ticking of the tyrannical clock.
Cool.
And this is a very discordant clock. You do want to find what your role is, right?
And I think that snaps back, and he pulls himself away from it, and he actually like has to block it.
So Teresa takes this and actually locks it away behind the register. This is not yet your time, and this will be the final clock. This will be the final place. Don't go in here now, Calvin. I can't get you back if you do.
Calvin sort of nods, and he's sweating a little bit, and God, it took so long to get here. The card that I pulled was Whispering Lover.
Oh, Lord.
Okay.
So let's see. Meanings are love, romance, partnership, loved ones, and relationships. Love represents the strongest bonds, blah, 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 blah. Divination. The Whispering Lover always suggests a bond in place or one that will form soon. It can be positive or negative, depending on the cards played. I mean, this is a Librelite joint. I feel
Yeah.
like I knew that, but I just needed to make sure. I think this is another this is another pre-shadow memory. And it is Calvin and Librelite together. And I think the design for this clock is it's an open book that pops out and completely made of paper. All of the gears and mechanisms on it. It's still a functioning clock, but it is just a pop-out book piece made of paper. And Calvin sees it, and he is drawn towards it immediately and instantly. And he just goes to touch it right away, and he needs no instruction on how to open this clock. It's simply there. And it is Librelite and Calvin are sitting together, and they're in a place that I think it's quiet here, but it is an uneasy and unsteady quiet that has a hint of dread to it. And you can tell that Librelite is nervous. And Calvin puts a hand on Librelite's, and like the book sort of turns to him, and he then picks up his hand, like he turns over the hand, and his thumb is down in the palm, and as he moves his thumb away, there's a ring there. And Calvin looks to Librelite, and I think like Librelite takes it delicately and holds it, and then I think for the first time we're going to see Librelite's actual hand as he pulls the glove off. And what do we think Librelite's hands look like?
Gosh.
Well, Librelite is
He's a book.
well, his hands are very fine.
Binding?
They're lambskin, very gentle.
Very soft. Oh, I love that. Yeah, and I think it's just got that soft like, and I think it's. Can't remember if we like gave his binding a color, but like whatever it is, it's been stained to match the binding, and he'll slip the ring on his finger, and place the glove back on his hand, and then like with a curling of his fingers that like wraps around so many strings at once. And I think this is like where we see that Librelite clearly has a elegance and grace that Calvin does not in weaving. The different strands like weave together, and the ring that we see is the the colors of the suns woven with each other, and those like the lenses sort of form together, and the thing that is produced, and it can be seen in this moment, the ring is invisible.
Oh.
And Calvin and
Because
like
of all the colors.
yeah, like all the colors come together and it's just light.
Yeah.
And he hands it to Calvin. Calvin places it on his finger, and then the vision ends. Calvin exits and looks on his finger and feels for the first time that it's still there.
Cool.
So
Okay. I'm going to give Chad an option because I drew the rat, which is
Oh dear.
which is great, and I have a very specific idea for that. But I know we have a redraw, and so I want to give the chat an option: a rat or a lucky coin.
oh my God, they're both extremely good. What? They're the Darcy. This is the same poll.
It is, and it's exactly what I was going to narrate. Okay, but fine. I won't use the redraw
No,
yet.
I mean, you've used the redraw, but merely to reveal the truth that was always there, because the game is magic, Darcy. Because it's a
Gosh
magic
darn
thing.
it, this game. Okay, guys.
Game's
Guys,
been a little too real today.
it has been very real today. So this is the memory.
I can put a poll into the chat. There's a poll.
They're together. So I wish they were different, but they are the narrating. They are telling me to do the same thing.
Okay.
I see the suit deck wants one scene, and clearly that this. I don't have a choice in the matter. I
Yeah.
only do what this game tells me to do. Apparently. Okay, the rat and lucky coin.
We're not playing the
Jesus.
game. The game is playing us, Darcy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, pretty much.
So we get to the clock, and this is, I think this is maybe a water clock, some kind of base, maybe it's some system of contraptions where something's dripping and that's helping keep the time. So there's,
But it's not rusty.
ooh, excellent. It's pristine and shining, and when you get drawn to it, it fills you with pride and like, you know, like a really intense emotion, even as you get near it, of satisfaction and pride. How do you think you interact with it?
Yeah.
How do you
I
get
think
through?
there's part of him, that pride and satisfaction. Calvin, you know, in Shadow, I don't know if bodies work differently in actuality, but in Shadow, you know, he had depression and he had anxiety. So with those positive feelings, even though he's feeling them, there's like some part about him that's like pushing back against that too. And he's
Yeah.
like, he initially like acts like he's afraid of it, and I think that'll be something that you would pick up on.
Oh, definitely. I'm watching Calvin as he approaches this clock, where it has always brought everyone peace, and yet you approach it as if it will bite you.
I recently became aware that I have to do something, and I don't know what that thing is. You can't avoid destiny, but sometimes you just want to.
Believe me, I know. I cannot force you to enter the clock, but you are clearly drawn to it as you were the others.
I know I should.
Would you wish to take my hand and enter it with you?
Calvin like reaches into his pocket and he like grabs the rat coin, and like after squeezing it for a second, he lets go. Yeah, I think that would actually be helpful.
Do not fear, I will be with you.
And I guess they approach it together.
Excellent. Hand in hand, you approach the. I'm imagining this clock is rather larger than the others. It's got a lot of water and flowing components, and it's stepping over and looking down into your reflections that give you that optical effect where you're zooming in and out at the same time. And suddenly you find yourself looking out at an ocean with gray sky, a very strange gray sky extending before it, and the ocean is roiling, and you recognize this as the Alone. This is the sea against which the land mass that Saturnine is on abuts. It's called the Alone, and it's a very strange and isolated space, but right now it is roiling, and you, Calvin, are pre-war, but or possibly concurrent with the war. You're in your outfit, your Navy uniform, and there are people back on the docks that seem to be loading different Vizsla into these enormous ships that slowly pop off of the water and start floating away. And there seems to be some kind of refugee effort. And there are hundreds and hundreds of rats standing on the docks, and no one is letting them through. You can hear this sound of some kind of weapon or horrible destructive spells going off behind you. You see an explosion off in a district of Fartown that you know to be pretty ruined by the war. So the war is actively happening around you.
Calvin, so I'm on the dock itself, and I see that these rats need my help.
And as you look, it looks like it could be all the rats in Saturnine. Like it is a mass that continues extending further into the city. But there is a line of them that are waiting on the docks, waiting to be led on to a boat to escape. And you see one of those ships shimmer and fade into shadow, just like Kitty did. These ships are taking Vizsla and escaping them.
Calvin is going to go commandeer a military vessel.
Oh, nice.
So there are the ones that go off to cart people off to safety, and there are ones that go to stay in the fight.
Right.
Calvin is going to go take one of the ships that's in the fight to get as many people out of here as he can.
Excellent.
And they're all rats right now.
All right.
That's super cool. I think we maybe montage a bunch of cuts of, do you impersonate someone, or do you just bully your way through? Do you weave something to commandeer the ship?
Ooh, boy.
I can draw a card too.
I think I have a commanding officer that is like getting in the way of all of this.
Blind guardian.
Yeah.
Wow.
I deceive this man. Calvin, Calvin is like second in command of like whatever ship this is, and he locks this person like in a hold somewhere on the ship and assumes command and turns them away from the battle and towards the docks so that he can take these creatures into shadow before the worst can happen.
Yeah.
And he is gonna, I think he's really gonna pay the piper on this one at some point in the future.
Yeah.
But like it is a time, and I think this is like one of those memories where Calvin is just like learning about things that happened. And so he loads all these rats onto the ship and like gives the command, and the ship moves forward, and we can see what Shadow was before. But like as things were starting up, there's just like a vision. And I feel like it is just, it's a vision of like galaxies and like free floating, like stars being born and things like that. And
it's endless possibility.
And we can see all of that reflected in the eyes of all of these rats on the ship. And like, you know, of course, a couple very put upon military people as well who are not planning on this adventure. And
there are a few people, as you are hurtling into the pre-shadow, there are rats and rats and rats. There are also the sentient humanoid rats, like the rat family.
The rat family, yeah.
There is a small group of maybe a couple dozen, where there are thousands of actual rats, right? You're on this big galleon. And as you are shepherding them off the ship into safety, into Galaxy, where you can see them being picked up by the magical threads that are currently being woven to create this lie, this protective space. They get picked up and turned into other things, or swallowed into the lie as they are being moved one by one into there by the magic spell itself. They're the last people to depart this ship. One of them is bears a striking resemblance to one of the beautiful rat daughters. And it is actually a young one, where all the adults had just moved on and were shepherding young children. It's maybe a young teen rat daughter who pulls something from her abdomen, and it is as though pulling a core component of her out. It is something she is giving of herself, and so she pulls this rat coin out. She puts it in your hand, and you see her dwindle into a small rat. She's given up her life as a sapient rat to go.
So is that where you got the coin?
That must be when it became mine. It found me again when I needed it most.
She gave her life. The one that she had, and she became as a regular rat again.
Well, then I have no choice but to honor that. And once again, Calvin grabs the coin and squeezes it as they come out of the clock. He sighs. I think I've learned what I needed to learn. There's definitely more that I want to learn, and there's that pull of the clock behind the counter.
Not that clock. Well, young Calvin, I know that you feel you've learned everything, but there may be one more travel for you before you move on.
Well, what's that? I obviously trust your instincts. You know better than I.
So Teresa goes to the nicer cabinet near her chair.
Top shelf clocks.
And pulls out a rather ornate but beautiful cream and gold and crystalline clock. And unlike the first one you entered, it has flashes of light and fire within it. Not in a menacing way, not dangerous, but in a very beautiful, as if you're witnessing a storm for the first time. This is something I'd hoped you'd been drawn to on your own, but before you leave, we must venture here. And I hold it up and just kind of hold it, almost like a fine bottle of wine. What does this say to you?
Calvin looks at it, and he can feel his heart beat in his chest. That's who I am. That's my heart.
Mm-hmm. And so instead of opening it for Calvin, I place it on the desk. You know the way to your own heart better than I ever would.
Yeah. God, I think instead of even walking towards it, Calvin just closes his eyes and moves. And as he moves, it moves in the same direction as him, and they are together.
Excellent. I think if you're okay with it, you transform into birds.
Ooh, yes! Yes, I am deeply okay with. Darcy, I'm always game to transform into birds.
Who wouldn't be? So you separate out into the many-colored birds that you can sort of become this flock of representing the different suns. And you notice that this final clock, this your heart, there is the gold sun lurking at the end of the flock, and the heart gets the clock comes in and takes the space of that bird. And at first they sort of fly together as it emulates that shape, and then they fuse into one. And you have the ability from your gold forte.
What? Isn't that the one that just lets me walk anywhere?
Possibly.
God, the gold forte. I remember the gold forte one being buck wild. So
Cool. You definitely get the feeling that this may not be forever, but for right now,
yeah,
you
it's
have that.
similar to the pale sun thing that I got earlier.
Let me just pull it up because it's kind of cool and worth probably looking at. So you feel that gold sun power, and you realize, because you read this in the journal when you're reading about the travel to the different suns by Victoria
I think
Zhu.
that's it. Yeah.
That this is some powerful gold sun magic that you've just experienced here, and you know that the keepers of the suns, of the guardians for entrance to the different suns, are the wardens. And someone powerful enough to bestow that, if that's what's happening, you suspect you may have encountered a warden here.
Oh my God.
Gold, travel the path. This is terrifying. I can travel the realm of any sun I choose. The specific destination must be one I visited before or have had described to me. Otherwise, the destination is random. If I wish, I can bring additional people.
Good Lord. So Calvin even temporarily having the ability to walk literally anywhere that's random. Wow.
So you have that feeling for a moment.
Yeah.
So this is more of a, and you know in your heart that you have had this ability before.
Yeah.
You have absolutely been able to do this before, and that's why you're able to feel it now.
So Calvin, what does your heart tell you?
Oh, I'm sort of overwhelmed by a lot of things right now.
Well, learning oneself again can do that.
I know that I've done this before.
Done what?
I can do anything right now.
Are you a god?
No. I think I'm just a Vizsla.
A Vizsla? What makes you say that?
That's what I am. But it's different. Before I thought that I died when I entered Shadow. I thought I was destroyed somehow. But I don't think that's what happened anymore. I think I'm just supposed to keep doing what I'm doing. And I know that I can go where I need to go. But for some reason, when I got lost the first time, even though I could walk anywhere in all of existence, I took a ship instead.
Was this the doing of your enemies?
No, but I think it benefited them. This was my choice. I know that. I know that I did this to myself, but I was trying to do something.
Was it because you could not take someone with you?
He thinks back to that moment of Librelite asking him to stop and come with him. No. I was trying to learn something that I could only know by doing something very dangerous, and I was willing to risk anything to do it.
So it wasn't that you couldn't, but you didn't to protect them.
I think Calvin is struck by the idea, maybe I went there and set up that situation so that they all had to go away on their own. Maybe so that I could be the only one to be there.
And the only one to sacrifice. What is in your heart, Calvin?
I've learned that was wrong. All of this, everything that I've seen, I've pushed people away, and it's always led me in the wrong direction. and here I am, knowing that I was chasing some secret and doing it alone and ignoring everyone around me who's important to me. And I know that that's wrong.
You can learn after all.
We do know each other, right?
Perhaps.
How many times have I done this before?
I can't tell you.
No one can tell me anything.
There are rules, Calvin. You know this.
Well, I think now that it was probably worth that 24 hours.
Calvin, you got a deal.
And I feel like that's kind of it.
That might be where we cut.
Yeah.
I think it's possible that you do one more thing for Calvin, although you have lost that ability to simply step to any sun. I'm not sure how you do it, but you have gained entrance to the Gold Sun
Yes.
in the future.
There's a special clock that only I may use that I go to once we return to the shop. It's a very tiny clock. I hold it in my hands, close them, ask Calvin to hold his hand under mine,
Mm-hmm. He does obediently.
and after a moment, Teresa opens her hands, and a disc falls in your hand. This is the way to the Golden Sun. You'll know when you need to use it.
Calvin looks at it and nods and places it in the pocket with his rat coin.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, I think I will cut it there. So,
Wow.
This is wild. Thank you so much, Tanya. This
You're
is
so welcome.
incredible. So we learned a lot. Do you want to do? I think we should probably award some despair and joys. Although this was kind of an entire session of despair and joy and acumen.
Yeah.
So there's that. So at the end of each session, we do a character summary. So do you want to talk to us about some of the big impactful moments for you?
I mean, so there is the despair of finding out that he has been tortured and interrogated since that whatever period that was in the war until the moment that he emerged from Shadow, because this creature from the Dark Suns captured him on the edge of eternity. So that I feel is a big despair moment. I mean, there is, the joy is incalculable. There's so much joy that is here. He rediscovered his wedding ring. He found that the damaged relationships with his friends can be repaired. He learned that he in the past took risks to help people, and I think for the first time probably feels not afraid of that destiny anymore, but heartened by it and comforted by it. I think that there is some despair, but joy is the overall tone for the session.
I agree. I feel like putting numbers on the joy and despair is just, it makes me laugh a lot. But I have to give you some. I have to pick some number, and since this is a solo session, it especially means that the tension is really ratcheted up. So I'm going to give you 2 joy and 1 despair for right now. Which puts you at what?
That puts me at, with the joy that I had before, that'll bring me to 6 joy, and despair, it will bring me up to 9.
Wow.
So I am going to be advancing in my forte a little bit, I think.
Ooh, exciting. And then Acumen, do you have character arcs that this?
So
Uh,
I think I've resolved mysterious background. Who were you?
right. I think you can strike that off, and we will give you
Yeah.
5 Acumen for. So you had kind of resolved it before, right?
So yeah, maybe
and
I
this was
did.
the I think usually you want kind of a bow on it. And This is the bow.
That's
so I
the
think I
bow.
gave you a big payoff, and so this is going to be the 3 Acumen payoff.
So then there is learn why Daniel McPherson is interested in you. I don't think I have the bow on that, but
You got further along.
I am very, very close to that. The other one is find a place in Saturnine, which I don't think got answered there. And then there's get a job, talk to Abigail, which Calvin has deftly avoided.
That's great. Okay, cool. So that's going to be 5 Acumen, 2 Joy, and 1 Despair. Wow. And if you're okay with it, how would you like to share any? So we could do a straight up character summary
Can you
where
pass me that pencil, Tanya? Thank you very
where
much.
you reveal something about how your character feels about how this went. Do you want to give us like that
little
behind the
bit.
scene insight, or you could do player knowledge too?
Well, player knowledge is interesting, but my character feels good about her role in helping Calvin. She's not always altruistic.
Right.
She's an evil clock.
Not
As
semi-evil.
evil as his
As
friends
mirrors.
would lead him to believe.
And not as evil as a mirror.
Yes.
But my character does things often either for her own good, for her own reasons, but there was too much suffering in Calvin and too much uncertainty. And so it pulled on a little bit of not a heartstring because she's a clock, like a gear, nudge that gear back in place. And while she didn't give him all the answers on a plate, she made him work for it. And there's more for Calvin to learn should they cross paths again.
So I'm so intrigued by that clock that you locked away. That
Yep.
will be his, and also that you have 24 hours that you may call upon.
Yeah, that's gonna.
And I don't even think I told you about the bird imagery, but you
No.
keyed in on it right away and said, a mechanical bird might bring you that message. Calvin has a flying mechanical bird in his life already. So, game is magic. You're incredible. Already attuned to it. Possibly you were part of the game, and I have. Who knows?
Dang.
I can't.
I've never
if-
played this game before.
If Monty Cook is somehow also offering you even a portion of the power of Tanya DePass, it is worth that investment for you to
Exactly.
buy the game.
Excellent. Thank you so much. This is incredible.
This was a lot of fun. I've been doing a lot more tabletop lately, but it's been either strictly fantasy or kind of, D&D light where it's fantasy, but there's different rules. But
Right.
but this is really my jam.
Man, you took to it in an eerie way. I am frankly
Because I've
frightened.
never played this game before, chat.
And didn't
It's impossible for her to have done it because it's not even out yet.
It's not out, and I'm a slacker and gave Tanya no information until 20 minutes before the show. When I was like, "Here's the character you're playing," and you were incredible. So this is so cool. Hopefully, if we ever get to do this again, because we're about to finish the season,
Yeah,
We're gonna
season
drag
finale
you kicking and
theoretically
screaming
is next week.
yeah.
But if y'all are interested in a season 2,
Let us know. You keep in touch. So just for people who might have joined late, if you are interested in getting Invisible Sun, which is on pre-order right now, if you go to invisiblesun.com, you can go find out about it. Little pre-order button in the top right-hand corner. We have a coupon for all of you for thanking you for kickstarting this and for contributing and being here with us. And working with chat has just been the absolute best. I love this collaborative nature of it. And so the coupon for $9 off either the Black Cube or a group purchase of a Black Cube where you can get a couple of people together on it, I think that's true. It's at least the Black Cube and the directed campaign. So if you're already getting the game because you're like, yeah, I'm into that, the directed campaign is basically Monty's and all of our twisted minds in a box crafting cool, interactive, reactive, I guess, scenarios for your table. And so that will involve props, it will involve situations and events and NPCs and cool packets, and also a community of GMs talking with each other about how they what they did in their games, which I think will be really cool. So Hollow Eye 9 is the coupon. Sorry, thank you. You guys got it. And so finale next week. There's a special thing I'm planning, so show up, okay?
Yeah, you
There's
do
a
not
special
want
weird
to miss
thing
it.
that they don't know about that I will tell you because, I just like keeping things from the players
Yeah,
mostly.
it's fun. It's fun to be in the dark.
It's fun to be in the dark. Also, yes. So on Friday, I am going to be another player in the Raven Wants What You Have, the Monty Cook Games narrative stream, which I think is super fun to watch and see how Monty GMs it, which is pretty different for me. And I think he does a better job at, because he designed the thing, I think it's fair. He has a different take on like goetic summoning, and there's a cool combat coming up this session that is really dire and intense and dramatic and emotional. There's like kind of a fight ring in a bar called Cadavers. Just come, it's delightful. So that's Friday at 9 p.m. Central. And then, oh goodness, if you want to know more about how Monty Cook is magic and how randomness, how he thinks about randomness in game design and jamming, he and I are going to have a chat tomorrow night. So that's Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific, so 7 p.m. Central. And it's going to be about like a discussion of game design and GM advice about randomness in games. So it's going to his shtick is going to be don't randomize fun. And so it's about using die rolls and calling for rolls and using these resources that introduce randomness and probability to your games and making those work for you and the style of game you're trying to run, as opposed to detracting from the kind of experience you're trying to get. So I'm really excited to talk about that, especially with respect to how he thinks Invisible Sun works and how we know it works, and how there's absolutely no probability here. It is all deterministic and has been handed down for us in this web of fate that we're all spinning through.
We know that the cards just sit there and they jump to the top when they're
Yeah,
needed.
that's just science. So the other very, very important thing is you should follow Tanya in all her forms, in her demon form, in her ghost form, angel, exactly. So I would say Cypher of Tyr, as she said, is where you can find her many places like Twitter. So CYPHER of OFTYR. And you can also go follow her Twitch channel, because she's awesome, at twitch.tv/Cypher of Tyr. And her Patreon is also patreon.com/Cypher of Tyr. And then her awesome work with I Need Diverse Games can also be followed. It has its own Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/INDG. And then it has its own Patreon, which is a super, super worthy cause and does amazing work. So go support it. It's patreon.com/INeedDivGMs. So, and I'm sure we can help maybe tweet that out later so that you can find it more easily.
Yeah, we can tweet links to that.
But holy crap.
Thank you so much for
Tanya,
joining us, Tanya.
oh my God.
I hope you had fun.
This was incredible. And I also feel like I'm the jerk who was like, come play an NPC, by which I mean I'll sit back and let you GM for a second. And this is the best con I've ever pulled. So thank you.
It's the greatest trick the Darcy ever played was make Tanya GM a game.
Yeah.
I do want to point out tomorrow, One Shot is going to be premiering a new show on the One Shot Twitch stream. TPK with JPC. It is a stream where John Patrick Cohen, James Dugan, and Eddie Klinker are going to be playing Gloomhaven, which is a really rad legacy board game that is very complicated and it's collaborative and tough, and you guys will make it even tougher in the chat with Bits, which is just going to be so much fun to watch because JPC loves winning games, and I have a feeling that y'all are going to make it pretty tough for him to do that.
Awesome.
But that'll be tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central Time.
Lovely.
And with that, I think we're all set.
Yes. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Again, go follow Tanya till the cows come home, because she is incredible and magic and terrifying. So don't cross her, because clearly she's hooked up some vast ley line situation. And we'll see you next week for the finale.
Bye.
See you,
Bye,
heroes.
everybody.